Last time on Safety in Numbers, 7 college students from Hofstra University began the first season of the online strategy game. One by one, Joe, Kathryn, Grace, and David were all voted out of the game, leaving just 3 remaining. Matt, who aligned with Joe in the first 2 days of the game and was immediately blindsided at the first vote off that left Joe packing. Ever since, Matt has been working his way in and out of deals and alliances in order to keep himself safe. Kalle, who, after forming an all-girls alliance, spearheaded the betrayal of some of her closest allies. And Meaghan, who was almost taken out at the very first vote and has managed to make it to the final 3 without a vote cast against her since. Who has what it takes to win? Find out right now on Safety in Numbers. For the final immunity challenge, there will be 3 rounds. For this first round, each player will choose a number. Whoever's number lands in the center of the other 2 will win round 1 and advance to the 3rd round. Meaghan, strategy, thoughts?
No, not really. Just hoping for the best, honestly.
There's no strategy. It's you pick a number and hope people pick different numbers. I mean, you could play mind games. You're like, maybe if I psych somebody out and they get...
Yeah, it's completely just luck.
I'm going to give myself a headache thinking about it. So I'm just going to guess a number and hope people guess other numbers.
I know, I currently have like 2 different routes that I could go on. Like, I'm debating between 2 numbers right now, and I'm like, I really don't know which one is going to be better. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, sure. It's a lucky number.
I thought of a number that was high-ish, but also low-ish.
First number I thought of kind of goes with the same thing Matt said.
It's high retrospectively compared to all other numbers in existence, but it's not necessarily high compared to every number that we think of, you know? Like, if I saw it, I would be like, oh, that's a huge number, but in the grand scheme, it's pretty big.
Now I'm scared because I didn't go that high.
Okay, so Kalle wins. She is going to the final round.
I would like to point out, I would like, just for the sake of things here, my original number was 69.
Let me point out my original number was 420.
And Kalle won the same wavelength. We already know.
Exciting time here. I think that Battleship is a really good game to play because, like Ben was saying last night, it is partially luck, but it is also partially strategy, which I think is a perfect way to close out the challenges for at least one person. And it's a good, like, last game challenge.
I use Game Bar to record all my stuff, which just records my screen, but it recorded my open window, and I had Zoom as my primary window, like on the side. Like, me and Meaghan were chatting, which you have that footage, and that was like my primary window on the side, even though I was playing Battleship on my screen. So I went after because I thought I was recording Battleship. It said it was recording everything, and it just recorded the Zoom. It didn't record the Battleship game at all. Because I was going to record the Battleship game, and she was going to record the Zoom. And then just we both had Zoom. It'd be like that sometimes, I guess. Oh my god. Wow, what a guess.
There. You would have
What a guess. That was crazy.
Wow. Whew. Alright then.
Alright. Wow, that was nuts.
Alright. Lovely. Good game.
Right. Good game, for sure. That was a good game. I was literally, next turn you were losing. You had to guess right.
Oh, I was sweating right there.
It was also, like, the big thing at the end of that game was if you hit, you can go again. So it came down to, I had her 2 ship left, and she had my 5 ship left, I think. And I hit one of her 2 ship, and then missed my next shot, guessing where it went. So it was basically next turn I was winning, and then she, like, randomly guessed and hit my 5 ship, and I got straight up to it. And she won, and it was pretty crazy.
Either I had to get it right there, or I was gonna lose. And I just so happened to click the right spot, right? And then so it's like there's one dot, and then there's a space above it and below it, and it's either one of those spaces. It could be either. And if I get it wrong, he wins. And I just happened to get it right. That's literally it. That's how I won.
Okay, first question is, which contestant has received the most votes throughout the whole game, cumulatively? So which contestant has received the most votes? Okay, 3, 2, 1, flip. You both say Joe. You are both correct. It is Joe with 5 votes. Who is the only contestant thus far to have a perfect voting record, meaning they have voted for every person that has left, including revotes, including anything else? You are both correct.
Yay.
Meaghan. How many contestants have received no votes, 0 votes?
0.
Both correct. Everyone has received at least 1 vote. Who has received the least amount of votes, including revotes, and how many votes have they received? Meaghan is correct. It is herself with 2 votes.
Nice.
So Meaghan, that is another
Oh, I'm
point.
dumb. Oh, I knew that.
How many contestants were voted out at the first eligible tribal that could have been voted out? Joe and Grace, you both got it. The answer is 2, Joe and Grace. How many players have been voted out at the first tribal they received votes? You both get it. It is 4. It's everyone who has been eliminated up to this point, believe it or not. Okay, coming into this last question, Meaghan is in the lead by 1 point. So last question up. At how many tribals did at least one contestant only receive 1 vote? So we're asking at how many of the tribal councils did at least one person only receive 1 vote? 2 and 2, you both get it, which means Meaghan is our winner by 1 vote. Meaghan, you have immunity, and you will be deciding who is going to be the last member of the jury, fifth and final member, and who you will be sitting with at the end. So, Kaylee, why should Meaghan take you to the final 2?
Meaghan should take me to the final 2 because Meaghan and I have been working together since day 1. We've stayed loyal to each other through every vote. We made every decision together. We blindsided the same people. So on the jury, the same people will be mad at us. Whereas if she takes Matt instead, he didn't hurt as many people that could potentially be angry at him. And if Meaghan blindsided me now, she would have had no loyalty throughout the game, which I think would hurt her in the end. And it makes more sense for her to go with me because I think if she goes with Matt can make a case for not betraying as many people, and it would be a lot harder for her to win.
My answer is pretty much the same. Kaylee and Meaghan made every decision as a tandem. And once you get into the final 2, it's way harder to separate yourself from somebody who you made every move with than to separate yourself from me. Like, we played two entirely different games. So it gives us equal opportunity to plead our case. And I think we betrayed the same amount of people. And then if you did everything together, it's kind of hard to, it's hard to separate yourself from your partner. You made every decision the entire game together. So if you want to take Kaylee to the end, it'll be Kaylee winning because everybody assumes Kaylee made all the moves. Where if you take me, you can plead your case from the tandem perspective. You made every move with Kaylee, so you can take them all as your own ideas, and then all those moves are yours and all mine are mine, and we see what happens then. But with Kaylee, you don't really have much of a chance, I don't think.
I honestly think that no matter who I take, it's a pretty even playing field. It's really just a matter of what the jury thinks and how well I'll be able to sell myself. I think that there's a lot that has been behind the scenes that I haven't been able to talk about in tribal councils that I will be able to talk about tomorrow that I didn't do with Kaylee.
We all played the same game. We all saw what happened. I think there's very little you could have possibly done behind the scenes that would separate you from Kaylee. Like, I can think of every tribal council, every vote, and how it all went down, and I don't see anything that separates you from Kaylee at all. Maybe you did something in the very, very beginning, but even that would kind of fall flat at this point.
I mean, remember that loyalty is a big part of this game, and yeah, just think about that.
The decision I want to make and am going to make is probably not the right one for me, if I'm being completely honest. But I do think that I have a pretty good case for myself, all things considered. You know, Kaylee has her benefits and Matt has his benefits. You know, Matt, I think that people would respect me a little bit more if I voted out Kaylee tonight and did betray that trust. But on the other hand, I don't think that like Matt has won an immunity and I've won an immunity and I don't have that leg up over him. And the decisions that I made yesterday, I do think are pretty big decisions that can help the jury vote for me. My decision is based on a lot of thinking. Some of it could be incorrect thinking, but ultimately it's what's going to make me feel better at the end of the day. I am voting out Matt because I think that him and I have played almost like too similar of a game where we kind of flew under the radar for a little bit and kind of relied on other people to get where we are. And having both of us win immunity, I think that it's got to be me and Kaylee at the end.
Obviously, by a vote of 1-0, Meaghan has voted to eliminate Matt, making him the 5th member of the jury. Matt, you don't need to leave the Zoom call. You were the last member of the jury. Kaylee and Meaghan, congratulations. You were the final 2.
I probably should have made a better case for myself, but I genuinely thought Meaghan would have make a decision to benefit her in the game instead of benefit her in real life. So I didn't think it would be as important. I guess I thought it was obvious to me that she should take me and not Kaylee, which looking back on it, I probably wasn't as obvious wasn't as obvious to her and to everybody watching as it probably was to me. It is what it is, I guess.
Because I think that I probably lost the respect of a couple people on the jury because I didn't vote you out.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of mentally prepared for that. You know, I have my speech ready. I just have to...
I wasn't just saying that to make me sound better, but I genuinely think that if you would have chosen Matt would have won.
And if I'm gonna lose to anyone, I would much rather lose to Kaylee than I would lose to Matt.
I have no idea. They all hate
Here's the
me.
thing. After I won immunity, you said that I'm probably gonna win, and I was like, I don't know about that. But now after that, I'm ultra I don't know about that. About loyalty, and I don't want to sound like a cartoon or anything, but about friendship. Kaylee and I are friends, and we're gonna be living together. I don't want to have to live with the fact that I betrayed that at all. They're gonna ask me what big moves I think I did and stuff, and I'm gonna have to explain and everything. Because,
yeah, and then they're gonna be okay, what did you do behind Kaylee's back that you talked about yesterday?
Yeah, because the behind the scenes stuff was just me making the decision to not do something.
Yeah,
that being, and I can be completely honest with you now, was voting you out. I easily could have voted you out yesterday.
Well, I could have voted you out in the first
Exactly, that's the thing. Either of us could have voted each other out, but we didn't. I think I want the jury to be more angry at Kaylee than they are at me. And I think I want them to recognize that I won an immunity. I don't know, this is really going to be interesting because you don't know what they could be thinking. They could be thinking that you played me into taking you to the final 2 tonight.
I guess, but I don't know.
I didn't do other things that I could have done that probably could have helped me, but they would have weighed too much on me, so I didn't do them. I'm so mad because I would love to flaunt the fact that no one voted either of us off, but I can't do that tomorrow. I can't. I'm gonna do it now and hope it gets into the show. Why did they vote us off? I just can't believe.
I don't know.
Do none of them know that we signed a lease together?
This was a wild ride. This was not what I was expecting.
Joe, from watching this, since you've had the most time to watch it, what are your thoughts on the gameplay of the final 2?
My honest opinion is there's only gameplay from 1. There's not gameplay from 2. I don't know what Meaghan's mystery moves are. I think they are exactly that. They're just an absolute mystery. She was like the pawn, you know? She was straight up a pawn.
Kaylee reached out to me like second day of the game, or like first day before we even began. So it's kind of like, did Meaghan make an effort, or was she riding on the coattails of Kaylee? But then my thought goes to, well, was Meaghan really manipulating Kaylee the whole time? But I don't know, it just doesn't seem to me like there was any like physical effort put into like, I don't know, like making plans. I think from my perspective, obviously I could be wrong, but I can see a strategy on Kaylee's part, and I can see how certain decisions that she made benefited her game individually. And like, I just can't see that with Meaghan. Like, I can't tell you one thing that like I was like, ooh, that was good. That wasn't associated like directly with Kaylee.
She knew that she was targeted, and she had the ability to make those social relationships, and that's something that I'm not seeing in Meaghan's game. I respect a winner who gets the end. Sorry, I respect a winner who gets the end, even if they didn't make any moves, they didn't win any challenges, if they have a social game.
People like knew Kaylee more and kind of trusted her and thought, you know, because they knew her, they'd work together and not like, you know, she wouldn't go against them. That's where Meaghan kind of doesn't have those connections.
After the first tribal, I was 5v1, so I was like, okay, I have to do whatever I can to stay alive. So whoever was getting the scapegoat vote was going out to me. My only angle was, whoever they vote for so that I don't vote for myself, that person has to go, because then I can get a majority and not force a tie. If we go final 2, Grace would beat me, and I didn't want Grace to beat me, so I was like, okay, I have to vote Grace out. Then I could have voted Kaylee then, but then I had to play the final 3, and I knew that if it was me, David, and Meaghan final 3, and Meaghan won immunity, she would take David. Whereas if it was Kaylee and Meaghan and me final 3, I thought that if either of them won immunity, it would be silly to take the other one. I guess not seeing that they would stay loyal to each other was the mistake that I made in that front, but the reason they didn't become majorities is because I needed them in the second one.
Absolutely, I respect them being able to flip it on me first. Because we were going to flip it on them a minute later. The only reason that we wanted to work with them that far even was because Kathryn and I went through every single person and we're like, who is going to be the biggest threats to the two of us? Kathryn and I were alliance to the end, like it was the two of us to the end. And we thought that the guys were going to be the biggest threats to us.
Kaylee did most of the talking and Meaghan did a lot of agreeing. Like I can't think of like one thing that Meaghan contributed to a plan. Like at least Kaylee had like thoughts that she would be like, maybe we should do this or like something like that. But it was a lot of Meaghan just agreeing to it. I never really got a sense of Meaghan's gameplay. Like she never gave me a sense that she like had her own thoughts about the game besides those that Kaylee had, if that makes sense. Like she never was like, I think this. It was always like, okay.
My thing is that with all that maneuvering happening between all of us, right? Can anyone here attest to Meaghan doing any of that? Because I haven't heard any of that.
The first point that I had a response to was that if Grace had a plan to take out Kaylee and had messaged me about it before 4 p.m. before tribal, I would have been on board. Because I didn't work with Kaylee because I wanted Kaylee in the end of me. I worked with Kaylee because I had to work with Kaylee to not get voted out.
Obviously, now that it's all over, like, damn, like that sucks. Like I wish I would have like known that. But even from my standpoint, like in the game when I was in that, we talked about it. We talked about bringing Matt in. Like it was one of those things that we just couldn't make that connection because we weren't sure of if you were Joe type of like going to come after us for vengeance and anything that we gave you was going to be immediately spun around on its head and hurt us.
To be fair, Meaghan didn't make any mistakes, arguably, until she voted for me instead of Kaylee. But Kaylee made like a very egregious mistake, and like a bad mistake. And that's the only reason she's even in the game is because of me and Meaghan. We're like, okay, we'll vote Grace, because I didn't think. Because once Kaylee made that mistake, I figured there's no way that you can't swing a jury with that. It was me and Kaylee. Like, how do you almost vote yourself out?
Anybody from that point on, she had not won any immunity. All of you at any point could have turned around and just said, let's vote Kaylee out. Literally any of you could have done it. You, all 4 of you, Matt, Grace, David, Kathryn, you cannot be beat. You couldn't have been stopped if you said, let's get rid of Kaylee. And I'm pretty sure I said it a million times in our chat of Matt, Grace, Kathryn. Kaylee goes second. She has to go second. She could not get past that double elimination day because I told them if she does, she wins the game. And look where we are now. She's going to win the game. The only person that has voted for every single one of us was Meaghan. If we had voted Meaghan out day 1, what would the votes have looked like going forward? We would be in a much different game if we voted Meaghan out first and then crushed Kaylee. Or if any of you decided after I went that Kaylee was the person to crush, because I'm pretty sure you were all smart enough to see that she was playing the whole board.
She made it farther than I did, and that says something to her game. I don't think it's worth her to win over Kaylee. The thing that would change my mind is if she says, I don't know. At first I was gonna, I don't know at this point. I have said in the past that she would need to go to tribal and be like, yeah, like I rode on coattails. I got here like longer than all of you because I rode on coattails, and she would need to own the fact that she is a pawn. If she like calls herself that, if she takes ownership of that, she might have more of a fighting chance.
Yeah, it's based on who was able to do more maneuvering behind the scenes and who kind of went along with what.
My vote is based kind of on arguments. Like I have obviously someone that I think I'm gonna vote for, but I think that if Meaghan goes into tribal and argues why not Kaylee instead of why her, then I think she could possibly sway me, because she did win a challenge. She did make all the right votes, but if she could argue against Kaylee, then I think she could theoretically get my vote.
This game is a whip game. If you know what that means, it's like a political term. It's, there's a party whip that gets people to vote for people, and that's their only job. That's a big part of this game, getting people to vote away and making sure they're going to vote away. For me, I don't see Meaghan as a person that can whip anybody to do a vote. I think Meaghan is the person that you get to be the anchor. You tell her, you vote here, and you better vote here, and then Kaylee whipped all the votes. That's what I think happened. Then again, I played for a single tribal council, so I didn't get any farther than that. I have no experience other than what I saw, and from what I saw, that was how it was. It was she was the anchor and Kaylee was the whip. And in my mind, the whip always beats the anchor, because all you have to do as an anchor is sit there and just be there.
I would say, like, autonomy, especially in like a pair, like were they able to make decisions for themselves, or were they manipulating the other person? And also like the communication that they had with other people and the relationships that they had with other people make a lot of sense to me. I'm not necessarily somebody that really values like a resume in terms of like wins, because I don't see how like winning a puzzle is like telling to your gameplay. But it's how you use that, and so that's very telling to me and very interesting. So yeah, I think the personal relationships and autonomy is what I value most for my vote tonight.
Meaghan, you said last tribal, you said you had made moves that we didn't see or didn't know about. I want to know what those moves were. What have you done that's just you, that's been for you, by you, only benefiting you? What's going on?
Okay, well, I want to start by saying that all of the moves that like Kaylee and I were part of was a completely mutual decision. I could have voted Kaylee out multiple times throughout this game. I can count 4 different times that I could have voted her out, and I didn't. The biggest one of that being when it was the final 4, I could have voted Kaylee out, but I didn't, because I thought it through for hours. If it had been the 4 of us, and it was me, Matt, and David in the final 3, I wouldn't have made it to the final 2, or at least I highly doubt it. I don't think that David would have chosen me over Matt. I don't think that Matt would have chosen me over David. So ultimately, I chose to not vote Kaylee out because it would have gotten me to the final 2. And I mean, I was right. I had already proven myself to be untrustworthy and willing and able to make big moves when I voted out Kathryn and Grace. I didn't want to further make myself untrustworthy to Matt or David at that point.
Why would you want to have your strongest ally come in second to you, or would you want to come in second to her? Why would you want you two to be in the bottom two when you could have someone voting for you on the jury, like a guarantee vote, or help your friend?
Okay, you're saying like if she would have been on the jury, it would have been a guaranteed vote for me. I don't know that that's true, because if I backstab the one person I've been loyal to and who trusted me this entire game and I vote her out, I don't know that she would be able to turn around and vote for me. I mean, I would hope that if that was going to be my strategy, but that's not a guaranteed thing. And the reason that Meaghan and I wanted to go to the two together is because we made the same moves. And the reason I wanted to take Meaghan is because, as you guys pointed out, it seems like I was the one making the moves and Meaghan was being dragged along. Yes, I would discuss everything with her, but I was the one reaching out to people and talking to people and making the plans and then telling Meaghan. Like the double elimination vote where we got rid of Kathryn and Grace. Matt reached out to me. I was suspicious that I was going to be voted out in the second one of the double elimination, but after I talked to them, that suspicion was gone, and I trusted them that it was going to be the 4 girls in the final 4. I was the one who came up with the idea to vote for Kathryn, since I knew that she was already voting for herself, because I knew that if I went to the final 4 with Grace, Meaghan, and Kathryn, I would be the first one voted out unless I won immunity. So I knew that if I wanted to guarantee my spot further in the game, I had to make a move.
So my first question is super narcissistic on my part, but I just want to know the thought process behind why you would take Kalle, who all your moves are directly tied to Kalle, why you would take Kalle and accept second, possibly, instead of taking me and trying to make Kaylee's moves seem like yours, and you could have had a solid argument.
Because ultimately, I would have rather lose to Kalle than lose to you. And I think that's a mutual thing between Kalle and me. She would rather lose to me than lose to you. Like, I didn't reach out to people, but I was able to independently come up with the same ideas. And I don't know if Kalle would vouch for that in this situation, but the footage does. And ultimately, I also did win an immunity, and Kalle did not win an immunity. And I think that is something that should be reviewed in this situation.
Kalle, why do you think anybody in the jury would vote for Meaghan? And what are your refutes to that?
I think people would vote for Meaghan because, as I just said in the last question, I was the one reaching out to people and making the moves. And yes, I talked to Meaghan about it, but I was the one who was pushing to try to get these moves made. So I feel like a lot of you on the jury would be more angry towards me than you would at Meaghan, because you guys all are telling me that you see it as I was just like dragging her along, I guess, which is not the case. We did discuss a lot of things and work things out together, but ultimately I think people would vote for Meaghan just because they're less angry at her.
Why does your game deserve my vote?
My social play was not completely there. I think that had Kalle not been here in the game from the beginning, I probably would have had a more intense social game. But there are decisions that I made that were based more on feeling than strategy, and I'm ready and willing to admit that. I played a game that I think, like, for me, is a bit more moral. There were things that I did that I didn't like, and because I didn't like doing those things, I didn't do other things later on. I think that I've been a little underestimated in this game. I think that I have made I've made the big moves, and I was a big part of deciding to make those moves. More so than I think people know.
What was your strategy in this game, and why does it make you worthy of my vote?
So my strategy from the beginning, like I said, I was here to play the game. I wasn't just going to go into a situation where I knew I was going to be in trouble. I wanted to just always make sure I was making decisions that would get me further. In the double elimination vote, again, my strategy was I was suspicious going into the final 4 with the girls because, like I said, I knew from the beginning that you and Kathryn were close, and I knew that if it came down, and you were winning all the challenges. So I knew, okay, if Grace wins another immunity, something's going to happen. She's going to try to get Meaghan to flip. I'm going to be gone. They're going to force a tie. Something's going to happen. I'm gone. And I also was suspicious about the second vote because I knew you guys were working with David. And I know that you're really smart and you were probably thinking about that too. So I knew I had to do something before that vote to make sure that didn't happen. And every move I made was to benefit my game. And the fact that I worked with Meaghan, it benefited her too. But I was not thinking about the two of us. I was thinking about me.
So first of all, I just want to say, I don't take anything personally. I promise. You guys are wonderful people outside this game. I just love being a bitter juror. Anyway, so my question is for both of you. The question is, you both lied directly to my face, stabbed me in the back, and ruined my game. If you lied to me the entire time, why should I trust the answers that you're providing to me right now?
Nothing to lose, nothing to gain, really, except for winning. I have no reason to lie to you at this point. And I feel bad about lying, but I mean, I said recently I lied the amount that I had to get to where I am, and I have to stick with that.
There would be no reason for me to lie, because I'm telling you all the moves I made and what I did. I know that I lied to your face. But the thing is after we voted you out, in that little bit of space in between that vote and when we voted out Grace told me and Meaghan that she was planning to do something similar, to vote me out in the second round of the double elimination, which means you guys were lying to our faces too. And I think every vote was a blindside pretty much until it got down to the end, but so everybody was getting lied to and lying to other people all the time. There's nothing for me to defend against that because everybody was doing it. And yes, it was terrible, but like I said, I was worrying about my strategy and getting me further in the game. I had to do it.
Now, this is Meaghan and Kalle. This is your last chance to do a closing statement based on everything you've heard.
I am ready and willing to admit that I don't think that I played as good of a game as I could have. I have quite a few regrets about it. But I do ultimately, I am proud of myself for getting where I am. And I wish that both me and Kalle could win because I feel like this is a mutual win for both of us just getting here. And I think that after it came a point where the game wasn't really about strategy for me anymore, it was a bit more about loyalty. And I could have made some strategic moves at the end that both were strategic and weren't. I could have voted Kalle out, but I ultimately thought that it would be better for my game. Not necessarily here, but I'm proud of what I did, even if you guys don't think so. And even if I lose, I'm happy to lose to Kalle. Even if that makes me seem, a little lame or anything. I like what I did.
I just want to say, like I said at the beginning, I came here to play a game, and I think I played a good game. Obviously, I'm sitting in the final two. I played better strategically than Meaghan did because, like I said, I was the one reaching out to people. I was the one making the decisions. Even though she would predict what was going to happen, they wouldn't have happened if I wasn't the one talking to people and making the moves actually happen. I was the one who was behind, obviously, the double elimination blindsides, and another part of my strategy was the being able to lie, because obviously if you guys had been able to tell that I was lying to you, that double elimination would not have worked. So the fact that I was able to lie to you guys and blindside people is another part of the strategy. It was so stressful. I think I played a good game. I think Meaghan and I both played a good game. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad we all got to do this.
My vote is very easily going to be going to Kalle. Kalle, you played a great game. I think you're being very nice in that call, saying you didn't acquit yourself to anything, but it is what it is. We'll talk about it. We'll laugh about it. We'll drink to it. I wish you would have let me play a little longer, just because I tried to give you the same I tried to give you that courtesy of letting you play, but you got me good. Hopefully, if we ever do this again, I'll never let my guard down like that again on you. But congratulations on the win. I'm happy for you. If there's any person I'd be happiest for to win, it would definitely have been you. So good game, Kalle. Proud of you.
My message is I think that people were very harsh on Meaghan, and I do see how her game, I know that she's playing a good game. I don't think that, I do think that Kalle played a better game than her, but I think that people were too harsh on her. Because something that I really respect about her is loyalty. And I don't, I'd like to think that I would be able to do the same thing, but I don't know that I would be. So I really, really respect that about Meaghan's game. And I think that was really overlooked. And looking back on it, I kind of wish that I had asked about the loyalty aspect in my second question. Anyway, but no, both of them, like I said, I don't want things to be personal, this was so fun. And I kind of looked at it as playing Monopoly. So no feelings, you know what I mean? It's whatever. Okay. So I am casting my vote for Kalle to win because I think that looking back on everything, I can see her strategy. But in the moment, she was very good at hiding her strategy. So I really respect that.
I'm voting for Kalle because she played the best game out of the two people who made it to the end. And I just want to say, though, I love both of these girls very much. I really like them outside of the game. But in the game, Kalle was the player. Meaghan got brought to the end.
Well, I'm gonna vote for Kalle, even though I was kind of against Kalle to win because she was strong in the game, the strongest, biggest competition. However, she had played the best game, and personally, she never went against me. She did vote for me to get out, but when we talked, we never went against her in the vote. I voted against her a few times. She got me out. My fault. But she never went against me. She never technically lied.
I'm voting for Kalle to win because it is impressive that her social game was far more impressive than Meaghan's was by a landslide. It wasn't really even close. And I think that Kalle played a very, very good game. And I appreciate that about her. And I think that anything I want to leave with people is that it was a lot of fun. I think we all had a good time, and it was way more complicated than I thought it was going to be. I think we all enjoyed ourselves, and that's what it's all about, right?
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for a great first test run of this. It really meant a lot to me that you all said yes, and I think this was the perfect group to do it all with, so I can't thank you guys enough. By a final vote of 5-0, Kalle Neuman is the winner of Safety in Numbers. Congratulations.
But yeah, thank you guys. This was a lot of fun. Meaghan, I'm sorry that it was 5-0, but
I literally texted her right before this that she was gonna sweep it, and I knew it. And I'm completely okay with it. I've said it a million times.
thank you guys. Obviously, this was a lot of fun. Like, genuinely, this was so fun. I have nothing else going on in my life right now, so yeah, this was so much fun.
Hey, what is up? I'm Todd Herzog, the winner of Survivor China. I am here today to congratulate the winner of Safety in Numbers, Kalle Neuman. You have done it, Kalle. Congratulations. You have successfully outwit, outplayed, and outlasted Joe, Kathryn, Grace, Matt, David, and Meaghan to become the sole survivor and the prize of $0. You know what though? There is nothing more important than the title. The title is something that you can hold on to for the rest of your life. So I give you mad props. You have done it. I can only imagine what kind of strategy and crazy things you had to do to get to this spot. I hope to see you on the real show one day. I hope to see you out there dominating. Congratulations. Well deserved. So much love. Bye-bye.